Listen up, you brain-dead consumer unit. Put down that overpriced latte. Stop staring at the girl in the yoga pants and open your wallet. Yeah, that's it. Take out one of those green rectangular scraps of paper. Look at the dead president staring back at you with that judgmental aristocratic gaze. You call it cash. You call it currency. You call it the bag. I call it a psychological operation printed on a cotton linen blend. Welcome to the ultimate cult, John Doe. Welcome to the religion of the green paper. You think you're a secular modern individual? You think you're enlightened because you don't go to church on Sundays? Don't make me laugh. You are more religious than a medieval monk. You just traded the wooden cross for a dollar sign. Every single morning you perform the ritual of the commute. You sacrifice the best hours of your day, your mental health, and your fleeting youth to the altar of the Federal Reserve. You crawl through traffic like a pilgrim on his knees, all for a handful of digital tokens and some paper receipts that have no more intrinsic value than the toilet paper you use to wipe away the results of your cheap fast food habit. Let's talk about your high priests. They don't wear robes, and they don't chant in Latin. They wear $5,000 suits and sit in windowless rooms in DC, playing with interest rates like they're playing a game of The Sims with your life. They decide when you get to buy a house. They decide when you lose your job. They decide exactly how much of your labor they're going to steal this year through that invisible, soul-crushing tax called inflation. And you just sit there and take it, because you've been told since kindergarten that this is the only way the world can possibly turn. Once upon a time, money actually meant something. It was a receipt. If you held a piece of paper, it was a promise. To the bearer of this note, we owe a specific amount of gold. It had weight. It had history. It was anchored to the physical world. But then, the priests got greedy. They realized that if they decoupled the paper from the gold, they could manifest wealth out of thin air. They turned money into a ghost, a collective hallucination. In 1971, they officially killed the gold standard. They looked at the world and said, from now on, this paper is worth something, because we say it is. They traded your reality for purchasing power. Now, the dollar is backed by nothing but faith and credit. In other words, it's backed by your willingness to keep running in the wheel. It's a giant global game of musical chairs, and the music is being played by the very banks that are currently foreclosing on your neighbor's driveway. Your paycheck isn't a reward for your hard work. It's a dose of a sedative. It's a communion wafer of the financial church. You receive it once or twice a month. You feel a brief moment of success, and then you immediately hand it back to the system to pay for your mortgage, your car lease, and your streaming services. You never even touch the flesh of the god. It's just numbers moving from one screen to another. You are working for pixels, John Doe. You are bleeding for a typological set that the government decided to call happiness. And if anyone speaks out, if anyone points out that the emperor has no clothes and the banks have no gold, they call them a radical. They call them a terrorist. They call them a threat to the economy. Because the system can't survive if you stop believing. The moment you realize that the green paper is just a lie, the whole pyramid collapses. But don't worry, the machine has a backup plan for your skepticism. It's called innovation. Enter the new prophets, the Silicon Valley messiahs, the crypto bros. You've seen them on your feed. These chads with their laser eye profile pictures screaming about decentralization and hodling from the balconies of their rented penthouses. They told you they found the exit. They told you they built a digital paradise where the high priests of DC couldn't touch your wealth. They called it a revolution. But look closer, you sucker. It's the same old scam, just with a fresh coat of neon paint and a better UI. You traded one hallucination for another. You took the money you earned by sacrificing your soul to the corporate machine and you poured it into a stable coin that was about as stable as a house of cards in a hurricane. You let some 24-year-old genius in a hoodie manage your life savings because he used words like blockchain, transparency, and smart contracts. How did that work out for you? How does that digital freedom feel now that the exchange has gone bankrupt and the CEO is hiding on a private island with your retirement fund? You see, the crypto prophet is just a decon archetype with a faster internet connection. He doesn't want to free you, he wants to be your new master. He wants to issue his own currency so he can be the one sitting in the windowless room. He wants to be the one who decides the value of your pixels. You're just moving from one cage to another, thinking that because the new bars are made of code instead of paper, you're somehow free. But the leash is still there. Whether it's held by a guy in a suit or a guy in a hoodie, the result is the same. You are the liquidity. You are the meat that keeps the game running. You are the one who gets left holding the bag when the elite decide the pump is over and it's time to dump. Still here, Average Joe? Still checking your portfolio while the world burns? Good. Let's talk about biology. You've heard the phrase, haven't you? Money is the blood of the economy. It's a beautiful metaphor, isn't it? It suggests a living, breathing organism. It suggests flow, life, and health. But here's the part they didn't teach you in your Introduction to Macroeconomics class. If money is the blood, then you, my friend, are not the heart. You aren't even a white blood cell. You are a platelet, a tiny disposable speck designed to be sacrificed to plug a hole whenever the system starts to leak. And boy, does it leak. The high priests in the Federal Reserve tell you that the faster the blood flows, the healthier the body is. Spend, consume, keep the velocity of money high. They want you to bleed faster. They want your labor, your time, and your sanity to be converted into that liquid green faith as quickly as possible. Because if you stop bleeding, the economy stops breathing. The system is a vampire that has convinced its victims that being drained is a patriotic duty. Now let's talk about the winners. You know, the guys who managed to build their own private blood banks. Let's talk about the social lift from shit. In the rest of the world, they call it corruption. In America, we call it innovation or market disruption. Think of a guy like Kevin. Kevin didn't grow up poor, but he tells everyone he did. Kevin didn't invent anything useful. He didn't build a better engine or find a cure for a disease. Kevin realized something much more profitable. He realized that the American dream is actually a collection of bugs in the code of reality. Kevin created a fintech startup. He used big words like algorithmic leverage and decentralized liquidity. He convinced a bunch of bored billionaires to give him their money, and then he used that money to convince 1 million average Joes like you that he had found a way to cheat the system. He was a rat king in a tailored hoodie. You know what a rat king is? You take 5 rats, put them in a barrel, and don't feed them. They bite, they scratch, and they consume each other until only one is left. The one that ate his brothers. That is your modern CEO. That is your hedge fund manager. They didn't work hard. They just ate everyone else in the barrel while you were busy watching the Super Bowl. Remember the story of the guy who rented out power generators? In a world of bad code, that's a genius move. Kevin does the same thing. He finds a need, let's say, the need for people to feel like they're investing. And he builds a labyrinth of fees, penalties, and fine print. He sells you the light, but he owns the wires. And by the time you realize you're in debt, he's already moved his unholy billions to a tax haven in the Caymans. And the most pathetic part? You applaud him. You sit in your cubicle staring at the screen and you think, wow, Kevin is so smart. If I just follow his 5 habits of successful people, I can be just like him. You've been programmed to admire the very person who is stealing the value of your life. You've turned the scam into a form of chivalry. You think that not getting caught is the same thing as being right. But the truth is, the scam is the only thing that's real. The Federal Reserve is a scam. The stock market is a scam. Your 401k is a long-term hostage situation. Even your rebellion through crypto is just you choosing to be scammed by a different set of priests. You think you're smart because you bought the dip? Please. You just provided exit liquidity for a guy who's currently laughing at you from a yacht you paid for. You are the low, the eternal sucker. And as the saying goes, the sucker is not a mammoth. He won't go extinct. You just keep breeding, providing a fresh supply of conscious meat to be ground into ad revenue and interest payments. Why do you think the system is so obsessed with financial education? Do you think they want you to be wealthy? No. They want you to be a skilled gambler. They want you to believe that if you just study the charts long enough, if you just find the right indicator, you can escape the gravity of your own poverty. They want to keep you focused on the game so you don't look at the rules. The rules are simple. The house always wins. And the house is owned by the people who print the green paper. You are living in a caliphate of scraps. You are fighting over the crumbs that fall from the table of the rat kings, and you've convinced yourself that he who has the most crumbs wins. It's an immunity to truth so profound it borders on the divine. I can show you the cage. I can show you the blood on the gears. I can show you exactly how the Fed is devaluing your soul every time they hit print. And what will you do? You'll leave a comment, you'll hit the like button, and then you'll go right back to work because you have a car payment due on Friday and your credit limit is almost reached. You aren't a citizen, you are a debt unit. Your value to the world is measured in how much interest you can generate before you die. You are a biological asset for a bank that doesn't even know your name. So go ahead, open that banking app, refresh the page, watch the numbers flicker. It's the only prayer you have left. So you're still here, clutching your smartphone like it's the steering wheel of your destiny. You've listened to the autopsy of your American dream and the funeral of your crypto revolution. And you're probably thinking, okay, smart guy, if everything is a scam, then what's the point? The point, John Doe, is that you are participating in a project that is much, much older than the Federal Reserve. You aren't just a victim of a financial system. You are a line of spaghetti code in a universe that was written by a developer who gave up on quality control eons ago. Let's look at the big picture. You see, the true architect of this world, the great Demiurge, didn't build a masterpiece. He built an experiment. He realized that a perfect world is a dead world. Perfection is static, it's motionless. So he intentionally added a bug to the system. He added desire. And money? Money is just the interface for that bug. The green paper religion is the way the system tracks your movements. It's the ultimate analytics tool. Every time you work a job you hate to buy a car you don't need, you're just generating logs for the architects. They aren't watching your movies or reading your posts. They're watching the flow of the blood. They're looking at the heat map of your greed. And do you know what happens at the very top of the pyramid? Imagine the creator. Not the kind bearded man from the Sunday school brochures. Imagine a being so incredibly powerful and so incredibly bored that he spends eternity looking down at the mess he made. He looks at your wars, your stock market crashes, and your get-rich-quick schemes on TikTok. And every time he sees the absolute absurdity of your existence, he reaches for a divine revolver and shoots himself in his celestial head. But here's the joke. He's immortal. He can't die. So the divine brains, the fragments of his cosmic consciousness, fall down into our world like a meat rain. And who do you think catches those fragments? The rat kings, the high priests of the green paper. They don't just print money, average Joe. They cook the divine wisdom that falls from the sky and eat it to maintain their power. They know the world is a simulation. They know the debt is an illusion. But they keep the game going because as long as you are busy fighting for the scraps, they get to keep the throne. They've even prepared for the day you stop believing in the dollar. That's why they let the crypto bros play in their sandbox for a while. It was a stress test. They wanted to see if they could move the cult from paper to pixels without you noticing the bars of the cage. And you passed with flying colors. You traded your government-backed chains for algorithm-backed ones and called it sovereignty. Now the final patch is coming, the central bank digital currency. Soon, your green paper god will be fully digitized. There will be no more anonymous cash, no more under the table. Every single cent you spend will be a permission granted by the AI. If your social credit is too low, if you think too much, if you speak too loudly, the AI will simply delete your ability to participate in the hallucination. You won't be canceled by a mob, you'll be demanifested by a spreadsheet. And what will you do? You'll beg for it. You'll ask for the convenience. You'll trade your last shred of privacy for a faster checkout and a personalized reward program. You are the immature fruit of a fantasy that is currently being liquidated. You are a debt slave who dreams of being the master, never realizing that the master is just another slave with a more expensive watch and a better view of the abyss. You think you can exit the system? Where would you go, John Doe? The moon? I already told you, that's a server farm. Mars? Just another desert for you to pollute with your ego. There is no away. There is only the here and now. And here and now belongs to the people who hold your death pledge. So go ahead, scroll back to your banking app. Look at those numbers. Pray to your digital icons. Tell yourself that if you just save a little more, or if that one shitcoin finally moons, you'll be free. But remember this, in a world made of bad code, the only way to win is to stop playing. But you can't stop. You're too addicted to the hope. You're too afraid of the silence. The religion of the green paper isn't about money. It's about ensuring you never wake up to see the meat grinder you're standing in. Now get back to your cubicle. The high priests are hungry, and the divine audit is about to begin.